Is Mayor Live, and we are coming to you from Palm Beach, Florida, as you can see behind me, and of course, all eyes are on the Gulf of Hormuz, Lebanon, Washington D.C., Tehran, Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, because the ceasefire is anything but a ceasefire. And it is quite obvious from his last truth posting that the president seems very out of patience, as he should be. Do you have that post, Ted? I think it'd be worth analyzing that, because that gets us to the most current situation that we're in. And of course, as you would expect, this is a war and a ceasefire to a war. Things change momentarily, and there are reports that Iran is charging fees to tankers going through the Hormuz Strait. They better not be, and if they are, they better stop now. President Donald J. Trump. They better not be, and if they are, they better stop now.
Here's the other one. This is the more recent one. Iran is doing. This is the president. This is about an hour ago, hour and a half.
This one was
right before our show.
This one here was earlier.
No, this is the later one. This is
the latest one.
Yeah.
Okay, now we go back an hour or so.
Yep.
Okay, good. You read it.
Quote, Iran is doing a very poor job, dishonorable, some would say, of allowing oil to go through the Strait of Hormuz. That is not the agreement we have.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying. What they're doing is, I mean, unless you're a Democrat in America and root against your country because you hate Trump so much, as they are. I mean, anybody that accuses Trump of war crimes and doesn't, in the same breath, say that Iran has committed about 1,000 of these that they're accusing him of, but much worse, is obviously prejudiced against America and rooting for our enemy, a terrorist state. Now, why Democrats, Senator? I mean, I understand Schumer. I mean, Schumer has gone so much to the other side and become a traitor to his people that he can't support the man who's done the most to preserve the state of Israel, Donald J. Trump. Instead, what he did was try to undercut Bibi Netanyahu in what really is a violation of the law, interfering in that election the way he did. Who knows how much money he funneled over. And he is turning his back on his own people, which to me is disgusting. It's a person that not even worth considering. And you have to consider his office with respect. I guess so. What do senators do, though? Don't they really take more time off than work?
Yeah, how often are they?
So in a country that's a capitalist, free market country where we respect hard work, why would we respect these guys? People can't pay their bills because they're not being paid, and they're all off having great vacations. And it seems as if the communist ones are the biggest abusers. They go for the biggest parties and they spend the most money. You know why? Because in capital letters, they're hypocrites. Hypocrites. Mm-hmm. That's what they are. So now they're considering imposing the War Powers Act, which has never been used ever. And I mean, first of all, we haven't declared a war since the Second World War. Democrat presidents just went to war. Korea was under a Democrat president. Vietnam was under 2 Democrat presidents. There's no declaration of war for either of those. Obama, over a period of 1.5 or 2 years, was killing terrorists at will by locating them in various parts of the Middle East, not having any kind of trial, and just killing them, which I always thought he was doing because he didn't want them taken in for questioning, because it would reveal too much about the group he was financing. You do know, of course, that Obama, during his period in office, was probably, and the United States, the biggest single contributor to the government of Iran, to the Islamic Republic of Iran. I think that Islamic Republic stuff really got to Obama because he was certainly enormously sympathetic to his Islamic causes, even those that moved over very clearly into the area of terrorism, which Iran is in completely. You can't possibly give money to Iran and not know that half that money is going to be used for killing human beings, innocent human beings. There isn't a knowledgeable person in this world that doesn't know that Iran is the single biggest state sponsor of terrorism. And you've pretty much been assumed for a long time and proven that about 50% of the money that they get, they give to the terrorist organizations like Hezbollah, the one they're complaining about now, who they said they weren't really all that attached to. But now they want to blow up the whole ceasefire agreement because Israel's kicking the shit out of them. Yeah, they responded. I don't know if they killed anybody. They probably lost a few people in shooting off the missiles because, like Hamas, they're not particularly smart. And they blow themselves up. Not as bad as Hamas. I mean, to be truthful, there was a long period of time when they were very much feared as the one group that Iran had that could really do damage until Israel dispatched them in 10 days.
Right. Right.
Like they did with Jordan and Egypt and Syria.
Bingo.
All at one time. Man, that's a great ally to have, you know? Like, I went to school, I went to high school in a really dangerous area. And it was always good to have friends that could fight. I could. But it was not nice if I had to do it all by myself. It was always great if I had a guy next to me who also knew how to box, you know? I remember the difference when one time I was with this very nice guy and we got attacked and I had to take care of the whole thing. And it was, I got a black eye and he was rooting for me. But it was different if I went there with some of my other pals from the weightlifting team, or then I may not even have had to do the laboring war. Well, that's Israel, right? I mean, this is an ally that brings real value to the table.
Right.
Unlike the cowards that we're involved in with NATO. And, you know, when he criticized NATO and they started this whole thing, he demeaned the sacrifices that NATO made for us. Do you know I've known this from way back, from soldiers that I knew, from ones that would come to see me when I was mayor, from people who came to see me after September 11 and brought me indications of Taliban members that they killed in honor of our firefighters and police officers. Do you know how many complaints they have about some of the NATO troops and these different? Not all. Now, here, this is really strange. And this is my experience. It's not scientific, and it may not be the uniform experience. But the biggest complaint that I would get would exclude the English, the Canadians, and the Australians. They would say, boy, they fight. And they're with you. And the Eastern Europeans, the new ones. whether it was Poland or the Czech Republic or Slovakia, Slovenia, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. Not a lot from there, but the ones that were there were anxious to fight. A whole bunch of them were there with stipulations that they can help, but they shouldn't be in the fighting, like the French in particular. You know how demoralizing that is? We go off to die and you make onion soup. So it's been a very dysfunctional organization for quite some time. And but I never expected this. This wasn't even asking very much of them. They're asking them to sell a couple of ships when in fact you're affected by this a hell of a lot more than we are.
Right. And by the way, the UK, if you look at history, they have played a big role in the Strait of Hormuz.
The UK raped Iran. I mean, we wouldn't have this. I mean, I can make a very, very good historical argument that none of this would have happened if Great Britain wasn't a pirate country, and that a lot of their complaints about their colonialism, although sometimes exaggerated, sometimes aren't, and they basically raped Iran for oil. The British Petroleum stole Iranian oil. And the problem is the Pahlavi family was part of it. And that's how they became very rich. And they're not even the Pahlavi family. They're the Bupa family, and who were Cossacks. And the British needed a puppet. And they picked the Shah's grandfather, the present guy's grandfather. They put him in charge. He was the best killer in the Cossack army. He did a good job of killing a lot of his own people to subjugate them. And then he started fooling around with Hitler. So his overlords, the British, who were getting 85% of the money from the oil, pull him out, and they put the indecisive, somewhat ineffective, sort of worried son of his, who a lot of people say, oh, he's better than the Ayatollah, and he was good to women. Well, first of all, Mussolini was better than the Ayatollah. I don't know. You could pick a lot of people that were better than the Ayatollah. Who were Saddam Hussein was better than the Ayatollah. I mean, Ayatollah is like right up there. Who's worse? Hitler, maybe, huh? Stalin, Mao Zedong, maybe Xi Jinping, maybe Putin, maybe not Putin. Actually, in some ways, Xi Jinping and Putin aren't as bad as the Ayatollah, because they're not irrational. They don't want to. When I say they're not irrational, I don't. What I really mean is they don't want to die. This guy, in the name of this crazy. A not so crazy religion, in the name of the Quran interpreted as it's written, don't really care if they die, because they're going to go up to paradise and they're going to have so many virgins they won't know what to do. I don't know. You want to stake your life on that one? Too bad we can't get an interview with the Ayatollah. See how many virgins were left when he got up there with all the Muslims going up there the last couple of months. Got to be a shortage of virgins, I would think. And it may not be that you get them in paradise. You may get them in the other place, given what you did with your life. But so let's take a look, if we can, at what happened today, because there is a ceasefire, but the war is going on. There's no reason for Israel to accept that Lebanon was included in the ceasefire. They didn't say it. They didn't tell them that. Yesterday and today, Iran attacked just about every Arab country without any complaint, without any complaint that it violated the ceasefire agreement, without any complaint that it was a war crime, even though they were hitting facilities that were civilian use facilities. It'd be hard to say they were facilities that could be used for the military, since they're attacking countries they are not at war with. In the case of Israel, they're attacking the Hezbollah. They're not attacking Lebanon. They just happen to be in Lebanon and have been there for a long time. And Iran is the main reason for it. And Iran has always said that they're not that connected with Hezbollah. And now they're gonna have the whole ceasefire depend on whether Hezbollah is protected or not. You know why? Because they don't have anybody left to fight for them. Hezbollah, babes, is it. And also the Houthis. If we go back into a major fight with Iran, it wouldn't be a bad idea to take out the Houthis. Boom. Because they'll make some attempt to come to their aid. Do not judge these people by rational principles. Like, are we going to come to their aid when they're, basically getting eliminated? This is all based on the teachings of the perfect man, the mass murderer, pedophile Muhammad, the prophet, the beloved, great, perfect man, prophet, who was so kind that rather than having sex with the 5-year-old, he waited until she was 9. Or did you know Muhammad ordered the killing of black dogs, little puppies? He was a major killer of dogs. I remember as a kid thinking that the kids that I knew in Brooklyn that were killing cats were going to grow up to be serial killers. I used to think if you could find it fun killing a cat.
Have you told that story on the show?
About killing cats?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have.
The short version is.
And after I consulted with other people, I've been talking about this all my life.
Yeah.
I used to say if I meet a psychiatrist or psychologist, I'd ask him, "Am I right?" Yeah, well, not always, but yeah, it's kind of an indication. So Muhammad, the prophet, had a whole thing with dogs. He thought they were dirty, and he didn't like them very much, and he sort of equated them with women too. He put them in the same category as women. Like, for example, this is based on both the Quran and several hadiths. If you were praying, like, when they pray like this, and a woman, a dog, or a pig went in front of you, your prayer was canceled. I would say that fairly and accurately describes their respect for women that runs through the religion. The idea that of course, under the right circumstance, you have every right to beat the shit out of your wife is another. And who knows how many of his 19 wives Muhammad did, maybe even the 9-year-old. So this is a very, very, I was going to use the word Trump used on Easter, as a sort of adjective or adverb.
The F word?
Yeah, no, I guess it's a verb, actually. I'm going to find another one. Let's see. I actually think the best way to describe this is, it really is completely unjust to the whole cause of our law and our principles and our values to describe this as a religion. Religions get certain privileges, tax exemptions, and they're not entitled to that. This is a hate cult. I mean, it spends a disproportionate amount of time urging people to kill. I mean, not just dogs, human beings. Well, before we take a break and we get to the commercial, because you'll hear a commercial about coffee, I want to tell you that there have been studies that have come out just within the last 2 weeks, and very respected studies that if you have 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day, you significantly reduce your risk of getting Alzheimer's. Or maybe I should say, based on the study, you reduce it somewhat, noticeably, and in some cases significantly. Now, of course, in every one of these studies in medicine, there's always 2 cups, 3 cups, maybe 4. Beyond that, it reverses. Beyond that, it's not going to give you any more effect on waking up the brain and keeping it active.
Right.
And it starts to have effects on the stomach, on the heart. It could get you. Nervous. And so the recommendation is, and one of the studies which was published in JAMA, which is a significant medical publication, was almost 132,000 people, and they followed some of them for 43 years, and they also put together 2 different studies, mostly using healthcare professionals as the people, and the people were largely middle age, 40 to 50, when they started in the study. And what they and in one case, the base they used was up to 5 8-ounce cups. People who had that in that very large cohort, 18% reduction in the risk of dementia. Now, if you substituted tea for it, it was a 15% reduction. Now, basically, beyond 2.5 cups, it didn't matter. It was 2.5 cups that you needed. However, where the risk would start would be at 4 or 5. So there's an extra zone there, and this is based on 2 studies, significant ones, big ones, but you got to take it for what it's worth, right? So that would say that the best thing to do is to have 2 to 4 cups of coffee a day. And you might as well have coffee with Arabica beans because they're much better for you. And they are going to reduce the irritation on your stomach. Maybe a teeny bit more expensive. And nowadays, a little bit more than it should be because of the drought and some of the decrease in the amount of coffee that's available. That'll straighten itself out. And what they really believe is that it increases the neuron activity in the brain, and in doing that, it reduces inflammation, which may be the real cause of Alzheimer's, inflammation. It also releases dopamine, which is the thing. It doesn't only keep you awake; it keeps you a little happier and a little bit more aware. And one of the reasons you're happy is that you're more aware and more in the moment. Caffeine's ability to increase dopamine and acetylcholine in the brain, which are important for memory and cognition, is the dopamine is the reward center in the brain and leads to feeling alert, focused, and pleasure. And acetylcholine is the thing that assists in preserving memory. So think about that. It increases both. So what is Alzheimer's is sort of general loss of cognition, but particularly a loss of short-term memory. And this increases it. So we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to have a really, really very valuable guest and a very good person to talk to right now to help to help kind of analyze a very difficult situation. Walid Faris, who is an expert on many things, but in particular on the Middle East. And so
We'll be right back.
go listen to these and make sure you contribute to T2T.org. Buy Rudy's coffee. It really is good. Do you know how many people thank me for getting them to Rudy's coffee? And I have to tell you, it's the best beans you can find, which is why I don't know if our price went up much, but it probably did. Those are the beans that were affected, the Arabica beans. The others are really not good for you. Well, we'll be right back
After this coffee.
after the coffee break.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
I mean, I had to be very raw when we interviewed the young men who were juvenile offenders in San Quentin. I told them about my own loss, where I lost my older sister a few days before my 7th birthday, and I blame myself for her death. And I share that because that they ultimately were accused of committing these violent crimes and sentenced for life. And I think it shocked them that this, blonde lady who was, interviewing them had a similar story, was perhaps in the wrong place at the wrong time, but wasn't punished the way they were, because clearly it was an accident, but theirs was probably an accident too. So anyway, I share that just because I guess, I quite enjoy spending time with people and being real and unmasking.
Did you get that?
No, I know we just played that straight out of the break, and it probably wasn't right because there's no context to it. And she's obviously a very attractive woman, so it'll get your attention, right? However, and I'm not going to attack her as Newsom's wife. I don't believe in that you should. I'm going to not attack her. I'm going to point out that this is, I don't know how prevalent that kind of thinking is in California. It's one of the reasons why people are getting killed in very, very large numbers. So here's what she's talking about. Now, I probably should have introduced it before I put it on, Ted.
Yeah.
Because right out of the blue, it's hard to understand what she's talking about. She likes to go to San Quentin, which number one, having run prisons and having put a lot of people in prison, not a lot of people like to go to a prison, but okay. But it is one of the corporal acts of mercy given to us by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ to visit the imprisoned. Okay, I'll give her that. But you don't go there and tell them bullshit. So when she would, and she also obviously hasn't really come to terms. She said she blamed herself for the death of her sister. I'm not sure if her sister was a little bit older or a little bit younger, but I think she was only 7 years old when it happened. She accidentally backed a golf cart into her little sister. And the injuries were so severe that her sister died. There's no suggestion she did it at all on purpose, or it was completely accidental. And at that age, it's hard to find, fault with what she did. How would she know what she was doing? She probably shouldn't have been in proximity of a cart, like whatever. You can find a lot of things to say about it, but it obviously was a terrible tragedy for her and her family. However, she's in San Quentin talking to a bunch of people, and in some cases, she was telling that story to lifers, murderers, people who deliberately took the life of another human being. And many of them sitting there in San Quentin, I can tell you, if she was talking to 20 guys in San Quentin, at least 15 of them are career criminals. I mean, really hard to go to jail in California. I mean, just killing one person, you sort of get an Academy Award. 2 people, and if you kill the right people, like white Republicans, you might even get prosecuted. You get an award. I mean, they'll give you, maybe not an Academy, but they'll give you an Emmy Award. So she's talking in that crowd. We got, let's say 20 people. She got about 15 who are hardcore murderers. They weren't 6 years old when they committed murder. She didn't commit murder, by the way, but they weren't. Well, she committed the act of murder, but she didn't have. Let me take you back to common law. Actus reus mens rea. You know what that means? Okay. Actus reus is the act. Mens rea is the state of mind. Now you can do a horrible thing, a terrible thing. You can take the life of another person. But if you don't have the intent to kill them, you're not guilty of anything. Particularly if it's an accident and you didn't, at best you were negligent. And at that age, it just happened because of circumstances. Still, the act that you put in motion kills someone. I don't know the exact circumstances of how involved she was and why the golf cart ran over her sister. But let's assume she pressed something without whatever. So the machine killed her sister. In a million years, she never had the intent to do it. She didn't want to do it. She's obviously been plagued with guilt for it forever. And God bless her for that. And please help her. However, to equate that with guys on death row or serving life for taking the life of human beings for no other reason than a malicious reason is ridiculous. These people weren't in the wrong place at the wrong time. They were in the place they wanted to be at the right time to do what they probably did on multiple occasions. There are very few people nowadays, particularly in a communist left-wing jurisdiction like California, that's on the side of the criminals in the laws that they have. There are very few people in prison that aren't really dangerous criminals. It's like they have done so much, even the left-wing simp criminal sympathizers have to keep them in jail. So she was talking to people that were unbelievably deliberate criminals. And she's telling them, like you, she's like them. What kind of a lightweight nitwit is she? And is this, I mean, is this California? I mean, I know those of us not from California, we make fun of it, and I know a lot of people in California that I hope they would think that this is crazy. And sorry, but it seems to reflect the thinking of a lot of people in that state. This is the state that reduced the penalties for pedophilia. Why would you reduce the penalties for pedophilia? Unless you were a pedophile. What is it? Can you really put a pedophile in prison for too long? since it's not curable, and since the minute you let the perverted son of a bitch out of jail, he's more than likely to start preying on other kids. Is there really too much you can do to him? Our law would not allow you to execute him or her, mostly him, unless death were involved. But it is a crime where death should be very much considered as a penalty, because if you're talking about deterrence, it really works with pedophilia, because if it's prepubescent pedophilia, as far as I know, it's not curable. It's not reversible, even in the best of circumstances. So because we have these sensitivities, I guess if a pedophile rapes a kid, right, doesn't kill the kid, rapes a 5-year-old, I don't know if you can, in California, if you give him life in prison. I don't know. But anytime they get out, there's a pretty predictable chance they're going to start going after kids again. Now, there are plenty of other things we could play about her. Miranda Devine, who did the wonderful podcast with me, which I urge you to listen to on the New York Post podcast, because it does show how you could do a RICO racketeering case against Joe Biden, who was the most corrupt president in the history of America. And that really, those historical facts have to really be established so that nobody else ever thinks of emulating his disgraceful career. In a more classical time of high moral purpose, we would have a ceremony striking his name from the record of presidents. And of course, we'd have to remember him historically for deterrent purposes, but with great dishonor to him and his family. And it should really be his family, because as far as I can tell, they all shared in the greed and the avarice. I don't know if they all shared in the perversion, but it was a lot more pervasive than just individual. They're a disgusting family, absolutely disgusting family. No concern for the children. I mean, all you want to take a look at an exposed fact, the way the first stepmother treated Navy Biden, who's not allowed to use the name Biden, is intended to give this young girl severe psychological problems. And Dr. Biden claims to be an expert on this. She knew what she was doing. The first stepmother is indeed that, not putting up a Christmas stocking for one of the grandchildren. You don't think that's going to have an impact on the kid? What was the name of her husband who just killed somebody?
Oh, yeah.
Well, but the first stepmother's husband, ex-husband, who just killed somebody, that Bill the killer.
Let's get it right.
He claims they were having an affair. She and Joe were having an affair before Joe's wife died.
Joe.
Now, I don't know if that's true, but I never would have even, I never would have even repeated that if it wasn't about a person with a life in which I can't find anything good that he did. Whatever good that he did is a lie, just made up. He was a horrible man, and a great example that has to be studied of what's wrong with us so we don't repeat that mistake. You got a lot of Democrats walking around that are like him. I mean, look how they're supporting Hamas, and look how they're supporting Iran. I mean, I don't have to tell you much more than they're doing all this. I cannot pronounce that guy's name correctly. No, not Mark Rudy. Mark Rudy's okay. The guy from California with the big face and the ugly nose, and he says all kinds of stupid shit.
Not Swalwell.
Oh my God, Swalwell. I mean,
Fang
Fang's boyfriend, the traitor.
All I can think of is
He's got a lot of.
Adam. Oh,
You know who I'm talking about? The guy who lives.
Skinny Mac or Big Mac or
No.
Pencil Mac?
No, pencil.
Schiff. Adam Schiff.
No, man, pencil.
Well,
Pencil.
all of them now.
Ro Connor.
Oh, Ro Connor.
Ro Connor, who was all over television yesterday accusing Trump of war crimes, which somehow has missed of 1,000 war crimes committed by Iran, the country whose side he's on. He's on their side. I don't know why. I can give you a couple of reasons. He's really, really stupid. He's dangerously and amorally ambitious. He's a communist. He's an admirer of Mohammed Muslim extremism. And he has an underlying hatred for America. But there's nothing good about him.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you can't possibly be sitting there as a functioning brain and say the word war crimes and not realize that, and maybe if you did it, you'd have the discipline to pull out the Geneva Convention. And the first damn thing you would see is, because it's a very tough issue as to what constitutes a war crime when you attack a city in a country that's at war, and now you attack facilities that are important for civilians. What makes it a war crime is if it is one that is not being used for military support. I don't know how. I don't know that it's terribly specific with regard to how much. It isn't like a bridge. The bridge is used by the population of the city. It's also used by Iran to bring nuclear material from one part of Iran to another, to bring arms to the coast. Now, does it have to be used half the time for that, a third of the time for that, a quarter of the time for that? I don't think it matters very much. I think if it's used, and it becomes a legitimate military target. So that's what Israel and the United States hit the other day. They took out 12 bridges.
Kana, you got it. Ro Kana. Let's see if we can play this from yesterday.
Ropo.
Ro Kana. Was it? Yeah, I think we played it.
So he said, he just, without any analysis, and he doesn't really have.
They all think they're so
He
smart.
doesn't really have the really strong rational abilities. But without any analysis, he announced that these were just among the terrible war crimes being committed by that terrible Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth and everybody else hitting these bridges. However, at the same time that he's doing this, Iran is bombing desalinization plants in the Emirates, and desalinization plants.
Explain why that's so important.
Desalinization plants provide water to a country in which water is a matter of life and death. Water is a matter of life and death everywhere. But in these countries, this is a matter of life and death instantaneously. Meaning, if you don't have it, you're not going to survive too many days.
Right.
So we got the attack on the bridge. We got the attack by Iran on the desalinization. Right. We've got an American called Ro O'Connor, and he's deciding whether to assign blame or not. And he condemns in the harshest possible language what the United States did. And the president of the United States, I don't remember if he's the one who accused him of being insane or a devil or whatever it was. Something like that.
Right. Well, not to change the topics, but he's been on now. It's my fault for not getting to him sooner here.
Okay, Waleed?
Yeah. And so
Waleed, how are you?
Apologize.
We need you. We need your analysis.
I'm here for you. I'm here.
I've been listening to you, and I think your analysis is among the most balanced in a very, we have to admit this is an enormously confusing and complex period.
Yeah.
And there are many signals, and I think some of them deliberately confusing by Trump, because Trump, I mean, he should be doing that. I mean, if we can figure it out, right? The enemy can figure it out. So I admire the fact that he's got us all confused, because he's got them all confused. But we got to try to help the American people understand what's going on. So tell us, what is going on?
Well, thank you for your introduction about American politicians supposed to be telling the truth, who are actually helping the enemy, the Islamic regime in Iran, confuse the American public. It's not just politicians. It starts, as you and I know, it starts from academia. That's a major factory of confusion for many decades, paid by petro-jihadism. And that includes this regime, Islamic regime in Iran, sending money. Before that, there was Gaddafi. And of course, there's many other countries who, since the 80s, I emigrated in 1990, but I have seen
1990.
1990, October 1990, I descended on the United States and became
Thank God. We were blessed.
Thank you. All of us are blessed.
So you came from Iran.
No, I came from Beirut. I was born
Beirut, of course.
and
You're from Lebanon. I'm sorry, Lebanon, which is at the critical right now.
Absolutely, the war is not. I mean, I look sometimes like an Iranian when I am on an Uber.
No, I'm just confused. I knew you were from
look alike, like Canadian and American. That would be very close.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to your question, Mayor, the regime lost the military war. It was clear. Complete destruction of the Navy, destruction of the Air Force, 2/3 of the ballistic force, 2/3 of the leadership, strategic leadership. And Israel is doing their own job in addition to Iran in Lebanon, fighting Hezbollah. So that offensive, which is defensive at the end of the day by the US and Israel, the allies, I call them the allies, the regime realized that they're not going to last too long. That's the secret behind which you have why the regime asked our administration, asked our president for negotiations. I don't believe them at all. They're not coming for peace. They are trying to gain something very, very precious, time. Like the Pink Floyd song, Time. They want time. Because if we continue, if our alliance would continue, we would be destroying most of the regime. And then, we can talk about it in a second, the Iranian people could rise. Because the Iranian people has no weapons. And they have tanks, they have everything. And we were deleting everything, like the allies in Europe. How many waves of raids the allies, Americans, British, etc., over France before doing a landing? We're not going to put troops on the ground, because troops on the grounds are the Iranian people. They will liberate their country. So now that's why you have Tehran sending a message after message, trying to fool us, saying, we're going to discuss this. But in fact, they were preparing themselves for war. They are preparing themselves for war. One arm is to delay us. And the second arm, if you want, I could talk about it in this interview. They have an army here at home.
They do, don't they? And they've
an actual army.
For a country that's not really a major country, they've done the best job of infiltrating us, other than China. And China is what, 50 times bigger, right?
Yeah, 50 times bigger.
But I mean, they have done a terrific job of infiltrating us. And I can't believe the favorable coverage they get. They've been a purely terrorist country for 47 years. The Iranian people are wonderful people, the Persian people. the
Yes.
ethnic minorities there,
All of them.
the Kurds and the Azeris, and all, they're wonderful people. However, the regime has been probably the most brutal in the world, maybe even worse than China in terms of brutality, pure brutality. Now, how do these people come about defending them, Waleed? I mean, what's wrong with them?
It started in the classroom. You have thousands of professors of Middle Eastern studies themselves influenced by the jihadists. So that's a story that is like 30, 40 years old. And it
So
travels.
they sent them here to infiltrate, kind of the way the communists did?
They sent a first wave, the Muslim Brotherhood. They came first from the 60s and 70s, implanted themselves in our educational system and started to push. Second wave came after the regime in Iran was installed by a coup, not a revolution. That was a coup, Islamist, Khomeiniist coup. And that's how they baked, if you want, whole 1-2 generations of these people who don't understand themselves. They're just, and you know that the term lobotomy. So these elites, lobotomy. So they went into the classroom and lobotomized large numbers of American students. We see them now demonstrating. Where is Iran? They don't know where is Iran. And then yet they argue in defense of that regime. So we have a systemic problem. Second problem is what President Obama has done and Biden followed. You were talking about President Biden. They released $150 billion. You spoke about it. President Trump spoke about it, I remember, in 2015, so on and so forth. Now that $150 billion, if you are a broker, meaning all these consultants, lawyers, what have you, you get 10%. 10% is $15 billion. So the lobby of the Islamic regime in America has $15 billion to use in the war inside the United States to cover media. And you're asking me, why are these newspapers? It's not about, intellect. It's money. Academia was bombarded with loans and with all sorts of money to precisely change Middle Eastern studies. That's academia, then media, then art room, that is Hollywood. The dragon that was inserted inside America with these billions of dollars created what is now an army fighting against the Trump administration, against the Congress, etc. It's not an overnight matter. It's part of the war.
I don't think very many people understand that, Waleed. I mean, it is, and I have to tell you, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I would not have completely, I mean, over the last 4 or 5 years, I've seen so many examples of it. But I just don't think people thought that Iran was capable of that kind of infiltration. But it's very, very pervasive. Yesterday, the Wall Street Journal had an article that said that Trump backed down without pointing out that Iran also backed down. In the agreement to hold off the attack, they agreed, not that they honored it, but they agreed at the time to allow passage through the Strait of Hormuz, which they said they would never do. The day before, the IRGC put out a thing saying, we will never allow Americans or Israelis to go through the Gulf of Hormuz. The next day, they're agreeing. So they backed down as much as America did. But the Wall Street Journal, who are Americans, paint it as an American defeat. Then they go crazy over war crimes, right?
Yeah.
We're committing war crimes. Israel's committing war crimes. What the heck is an Iranian attack on a desalination plant in Dubai, but a war crime? In fact, of all the things they talk about, it's the one thing that's used as an example in the Geneva Convention to take away a water supply.
Yeah.
And how many times have they done that? They've attacked Jordan. No, not Jordan. They don't attack. I think they're afraid of Jordan, Waleed.
They attacked UAE, Bahrain.
They love to attack Bahrain, which is like defenseless.
Yeah.
And they attack Kuwait, and they attack Saudi Arabia, and they attack today they did Emirates, Iraq, You never see them attack Jordan because Jordan has an air force.
They could be considering this, but the regime, to start back at what you were talking about, realized that the United States and Israel are going to destroy their armed forces. So I'm not repeating, but I'm reshaping the story. They are the ones who want time, and they are the ones who have a double language. One, to their base, telling them, we won, we're not negotiating, we're not doing anything, we will reject them, our conditions are iron, steel, what have you. On the other hand, they send their negotiators to our administration and tell them, let's get a deal. You want us to open the path, the water path, we would do it. But all of that is lies, because once our administration is asking them seriously about making the concessions, they refuse. And they say, well, we are offering you a path, but it's going to take time. Clock is ticking.
So now, do you agree with me that it's inevitable that if we want to fix this, we got to take the regime out, no matter what it takes to take them out? We can't leave any vestige. We can't leave any like a second or third generation of Islamic extremist, theocratic maniac involved in this. Whatever we come up with, and you know what I noticed today. I'm involved with MEK, but I noticed that both Madam Rajavi and Pahlavi said the same thing. They both said the same thing. They said the only way this is going to be fixed is if the people take over the government. And honestly, they need help. They need help to do that. And I don't care how we do it, directly, indirectly. I think we've been trying to. Israel a couple of days ago went around Iran and knocked out all of the IRGC posts. And I always have trouble pronouncing that the besiege.
Oh, the besiege. It's a nice word, besiege.
Besiege, but they're like volunteers.
Like
but they're very well trained. They're like a volunteer army.
A little bit more, Mayor. They are the lower SS. If you want to compare to
right, and they're probably trying to get
lower
in.
SS, and the IRGC are the higher SS.
So as you get further away from the big cities, they're the ones who are doing the oppression.
Yeah.
And the Israelis spent about 4 days targeting their facilities to make it easier for the dissidents to get in.
That's exactly what should happen, is happening. And when it reaches a national level, like the Basij headquarters are hit, their heavy weapons are hit, guess what's going to happen? The people, as you just said, you mentioned dissidents, you mentioned resistance movements, you mentioned the opposition. That's the only plan. There is no other plan. They need to get their weapons from the Basij, and we need to get them some weapons. Like the Kurds, for example, we got them weapons. And some of the insurgents in the southeast of Iran, the Baluch, got some weapons. So there should be two things, in my view, in my modest view.
Please, no, not modest, my friend. You know what's going on.
Well, we need, number one, let the president do his experiments with the regime. Let him show the world that these are people that I could not trust.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's going to happen. And we know our president, he gives the chance, then gives something else after.
Yeah. He right now, the last report we got, Ted, he is he's out of patience with them.
He is out of. You can recognize. You are his friend. You can recognize his facial expression.
They pushed him a little too far.
Yeah, they pushed him too far. Once that hill is secured, then we need to arm all these Iranian groups, unify them, all of them. They don't like each other. Doesn't matter. You're gonna unify because
you're so right. I've been working on that, by the way, quietly. If they could unify,
that's it. They win half of the war. It's like when General de Gaulle, who had the conservatives, unified. Guess with whom? with the Communist Party of France together against the Nazis, and then do your elections, do whatever you want.
Yes,
But
of course, you can go fight with each other later. But
yeah,
because right now, Waleed, anything is better than them.
anything.
Because they're
Anything.
crazy. They're crazy. They're worse than Putin or Xi Jinping, who are
Genocidal.
terrible.
They're
But
genocidal.
at least Putin and Xi Jinping want to live.
Yeah.
These
that's
people
right.
are crazy.
Yeah, totally. They want to live, actually, they want to go faster to the other side. To the Jannah.
You're going to get a big surprise.
They're going to get a big surprise where they're going to land. But anyway, if we get the Iranian people to rise, they will execute what our president asked them to do. Remember those first two posts in February or January? He said, Iranian patriots, rise, seize the institutions. He told them, seize the institutions, fight, and identify those people who harmed you, who killed your people. What does that mean, Mayor? There is going to be a special tribunal. There is going to be a Nuremberg to prosecute those who gave the orders to kill 50,000 people.
It should be.
They're not
It should be, because that's been an excuse. Am I right about this? Iran is different than a lot of our hesitation comes about because of the difficulties we had in Iraq and some of the other places by nation building. This is not a self-imposed revolution. This has been going on from within since, I don't know, 2015, 2016. And the majority, it's hard to measure, but the vast majority of people in Iran, for whatever reason, want to be free.
Yes.
So I don't know if that was true in Iraq or Libya. I don't know if it ever got to them that way. This is this is a more classical revolution of people who have been oppressed. And I think that we're not imposing this on them.
Oh, no.
At best, we're just helping them.
Well, Mayor, let me go back 1 inch and say all these talking points framed about Iran that are criticizing the opposition and the resistance, guess where do they come from? From the regime. The regime has a machine that goes from our campuses to the media to discredit the Iranian people. But the biggest hurdle they faced was the massacre of 50,000 people. What can you say? You're gonna condemn the Iranian people for being killed at 50,000? That's unbelievable. But I think now, with the help that President Trump and Israel have given to the Iranian people, I mean, who would have fantasized about the regime being hit so hard by the two democracies worldwide and in the Middle East? What is missing right now really is taking care of the Iranian people. Give them what they need. They are very smart. Their middle class is about 30 million. The money that the Iranians have around the diaspora and inside, let me just release one information I got from economists. Our president collected what, 2 trillion and a half from all the Gulf, the entire Gulf. How much money is ready in Iran to be invested with us and having our companies going? $6 trillion.
Wow.
That would pay us everything we've spent, and that would pay them everything they spend. That's why the regime is like holding on.
You got to tell them that. Remember when he said the other day, I don't know exactly what he meant by this. I haven't asked him, and he said, well, I want to just take the oil, but they tell me I can't do I want to take the oil and sell it, and then we can help everybody. He's a businessman, so that's the way he thinks. I got to ask you one last question, because you are Lebanese. So what about Lebanon and this whole thing about Israel attacked Hezbollah? The thing that I find very strange about that is Iran is complaining about Israel attacking Lebanon, but they attack Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, about 6 countries at the same time. They're not even involved in the war. Now, they are they are trying very, very hard to take Hezbollah out, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
But have they gone too far, or is this necessary?
Absolutely necessary. I mean, Hezbollah, you know that. You've got so many cases. It's not just
They've
a threat.
destroyed Lebanon, right? They've destroyed your country.
First of all, they are a real threat against northern Israel and all of Israel. Second, people here in America don't realize that Hezbollah is a fascist, Nazi, jihadi, Khomeinist organization connected with the Islamic regime and has already oppressed and killed and assassinated inside Lebanon. 70%, Mr. Mayor, 70% of the Lebanese, they don't want Hezbollah. They want to disarm Hezbollah and kick it out. And on top of it, we know that Hezbollah acted here on U.S. national soil, trying to kidnap dissidents, trying to blow up restaurants, and they have been coming guests from where? From Venezuela. We're happy now we don't have that threat anymore, but they have gathered in Venezuela for decades, having their headquarters in Caracas, elsewhere, going down to Brazil, going up to other Latin American countries, and most dangerously, linking up with the cartels and coming through our borders. Thank God we have a Trump administration that shut down the border, but many have gone through. We have a block of Hezbollah fighters, block of Hezbollah terrorists inside the United States. That's another.
Well, Waleed, we're going to be back in touch. I don't know. I have a feeling, see if you agree with this, just a feeling that this is going to come to a head over this weekend.
I love the weekends. Let's see what's going to happen.
I don't know.
This
The
week.
weekends seem to be the time that the president makes his. They've pushed him really far.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised because I know him so well, but he's. They have really pushed him very, very far. I think Rudy, the head of NATO, got the brunt of it. His anger at NATO is. But me too. I mean, and I'm Italian American, right? I'm embarrassed of Italy.
Yeah.
And I love her. I love her. I mean, I love her politically, but I love Georgia. I've known her since she was a young politician accused of being a Nazi. She was never.
Oh my goodness.
She was never a Nazi. Every conservative in Italy is accused of being a Nazi, like Berlusconi was.
Normal.
If you don't agree with communism, you're a Nazi in Europe. But I do not understand. Maybe she does. I have to feel like she doesn't have enough control over her government.
And Mayor, the big companies.
I really like her, but I feel so bad.
Yeah, you have some companies that wants to make money very quickly and destroy geopolitics. There is a movie out there coming out from that country, which I love. Okay.
Well, you want to tell us, or you want to tell me off?
No, off. No, when the weekend is over and next week when I come back.
Okay. I want to see the movie.
Yeah. No, we're gonna make the movie. You and I. We're gonna make the movie.
Me? Oh, I'd love to do one with you.
Yeah.
Well, you got to come and visit me. I loved it when you came and visited me.
We'll do a real conversation movie.
All right. God bless you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
You're a great patriot, my friend.
Thank you.
You can't get better than Waleed in analysis or authoritative statements on this. This man knows what's going on, and he's got a pure heart, and all he cares about is freedom. Well, I mean, I feel bad that I got the Lebanon. I knew that. I don't know why. We've had so many Iranian guests on that I just assumed he was I don't know why I did, but in any event, you have no idea what Hezbollah has done and the Palestinians have done to Lebanon. Beirut was one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and Beirut Lebanon was a country in which they lived together. Look, I know I'm a big critic of the Quran. It has a lot of terrible things in it. But I do realize that the vast majority of the Muslim people who are just normal human beings, just kind of ignore it and reject all the horrible things Muhammad said, and probably not even aware of it. So Lebanon was a country in which there was a very significant Jewish community in Lebanon. Can you believe that? Obviously, a very significant Muslim community of both types, Sunnis and Shiites. Okay. I think mostly Sunni. I may be wrong, but I think mostly Sunni. Well, I mean, Muslim people are mostly Sunni. It's like 85 and 15%. And then there was a great, great historic Christian community created by the apostles. They go back to forget the divisions between Catholic and Protestant, Catholic and Orthodox. This predates all of that. These people are saints for the Catholic Church, the Orthodox Church, and to the extent that Protestants have saints. Nobody can deny the fact that they are the fathers of our religion in Lebanon. They didn't wipe out the whole community, but they wiped out maybe 3/4 of it. Right. They just slaughtered the Christians in Lebanon at the direction of Iran. So I know we focus on how they want to eliminate the Jewish people, and that's horrible. That alone is enough. But they want to slaughter us too. And those of us who ignore it are so stupid. Well, there's a lot more going on here. A lot more is going to happen. I got a strong feeling about this weekend, very strong. I know feelings aren't useful or whatever, but they're better than not having any kind of a sense of what might happen, right? Right. So Ted, anything else? I think we've covered most of it. Don't forget about the Rudy Coffee. And I'm saying this to you, this is not a mercenary act here. Coffee can help you. And if you have this, who did we give Rudy Coffee to a couple of days ago? And they were actually shocked. They sort of expected to say, yeah, it's nice. And they were shocked at how great it was. It was somebody who came here.
Just the other day.
Yeah, we gave them some. And then now they're going to have it all the time. But in any event, you should try it. And number two, it's the time to contribute to T2T.org. You see, you look, we've lost 13 of our greatest heroes in this effort. I know a lot of people think, compared to their, nothing. For the family that lost their son or daughter or their husband or wife, it doesn't matter if we lost 3 or if we lost 50,000. Their whole life is ruined. And they need help. And no one gives it better than T2T, Tunnel to Towers. If they need a home, they'll build a home for them. If they need money, they pay off the mortgage immediately. And if they need more financial support or emotional support, they'll find it for them. Because this comes from the heart. These are the people who lost our great heroes when the Islamics attacked us on September 11. Yes. The Islamic pro-Allah. Allah is a pagan god, remember, came and attacked us. So let's focus for a moment, because it's a very serious period of time. Let's pray for the people in Iran who a year from now, I hope, you're going to say, Rudy, you were right. These people are so remarkable. They're good people. They're beautiful people. They're talented people. And they have the same values that we have. Pray for them, that they come through it with the smallest possible losses. Pray for the people of Israel. My goodness. What they've been through, and what they have been able to accomplish for us as our ally. Gosh, maybe our only ally. Exaggerates a little, but and pray for the people of Ukraine. I know we haven't paid as much attention to them because of the force of circumstances, but very quietly, they're doing a good job of pushing Russia back. And maybe with Russia's help for Russia's unbelievable amount of help for these Iranian sick terrorists. And they're helping getting Americans killed, Putin. Maybe things will shift a little there. I hope so. Because I'm on the side of the Ukrainian people, big time. And of course, for us, the people of America, and for our president. The man is making decisions that most human beings don't have to make. But he's capable of it. Only with your help, and only because he knows that he needs your help. And if he didn't know it, he found it out that fateful day when you saved his life. So, thank you, God, for all that you've given us. We're very, very thankful, and we rely on you. And of course, God bless America.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common